근데 정우야, 누가 그러더라. 너 그러 항상 하는 건 그 사람 때문이가 아니라 네 자신 때문이라고. 누구를 미워하는 게 얼마나 힘든데, 괴롭고 고통스럽고 못나고, 그런 부정적인 감정들이 별로 너무 아프게 하잖아. 근데 또 용서하라고 하기엔 네가 나한테 너무 많이 아팠잖아. 어떤 시간들을 보내왔는데. 그러니까 우리 일단은 그냥 있어보자. SE 지르고 하지 말고 그냥 있어보자. 그러면 힘들었던 것도 아팠던 것도 점점 무뎌질 거야. 그렇게 서로를 위로해보자. 괜찮아. 울어도 돼. 하늘의 엄마 닥터 슬럼프 14화. Disclaimer, in this case, I want to spill a little thought for my culprit. So basically, this video contains my opinions based on some films, some contents, some books, some quotations, and some of my experiences. So please bear with every statement here, comment down below, and share a wonderful thought here so we can discuss it. And back to the video. The ones holding the key knew exactly where to press. Left the deepest marks inside. Lucky me. Still, Lucas is smiling, cause some things are easier to keep inside. The mask is well practiced. Laughter on cue, smiles on schedule. Confusing enough for people to assume everything's fine, or simply ungrateful. Meanwhile, life is definitely behind closed doors. What never gets noticed is how much energy it takes to maintain the illusion. How certain people know exactly which button to press, then step back and call it coincidence. Somewhere along the way, feeling became optional. Crowded rooms, familiar faces, still, nothing really landed. The comments get repetitive. No, they're good people. And somehow, too sensitive. Classic. No one noticed sadness till it turns into setting boundaries. Instead that you're the problem. Fascinating how confident people sound about stories they were never part of. The things they never witnessed. The strange part isn't being heard. It's being told nothing really happened. That it was nothing. Nothing worth naming. Nothing worth pausing for. That direction is judged more harshly than what is it. That discovery is just an overreaction waiting to be corrected. Somewhere in the exhaustion, the questions start turning inward. Maybe they were right. Maybe nothing was actually wrong. But the inability to tolerate it, just poorly tolerated. Maybe this was a lack of gratitude. A failure to adjust. A failure to enter what others seem perfectly fine with. The quiet pressure to normalize what felt wrong. To make peace with what never felt peaceful. To rename discomfort until it stops sounding like harm. And the mind doesn't stop there. It replaces everything, every day, overnight, every hour in between. Running the same scenes, looking for a verdict. Who was wrong? You should have known better. You should have done more. All of it, while the wound stays open. No answers, just repetition. And then the assumptions begins to crack. Because patience was never meant for what violates you. In this belief, patience is for what cannot be chosen. Loss, delay, the weight of fate. But harm is not a lesson in endurance. And injustice was never something to adapt to. There's no virtue in staying where dignity keeps eroding. And in this belief, change doesn't arrive uninvited. God doesn't change the condition of people until they change what is within themselves. Only when she embraced her own light, no matter how dim it seemed, could she truly transform. Not rescue, not permissions, just responsibility. So, distance becomes necessary, not as punishment, not as revenge, but as an alignment. Not everything is meant to be fixed. Some things are meant to be left behind. But after distance, the doubts don't disappear right away. Was it too much? Was it unfair? Why does a space that was meant to bring relief suddenly feel like something cruel? The mind circles back, rechecking tone and intent, but the quiet that follows feels different. Less heavy, less loud, and that pause is where the truth starts to surface. At some point, holding it together starts costing more than letting fall apart. Harry felt the weight of that truth, and knowing it deep inside, the kind that made him question everything. What if, after all that he'd been through, something had gone wrong inside him? What if it had turned him into someone he couldn't recognize? Someone broken, lost to darkness. But Sirius, ever the steady voice, insisted otherwise. He wasn't lost. He was someone with a good heart. Terrible things had happened to him, but that didn't change who he was at his core. That's all. The world isn't split into good people and Death Eaters. We've all got both light and dark inside of us. What matters is the part we choose to act on. That's who we really are. And somewhere along the way, another truth settles in. Being exposed to darkness doesn't make someone dark. What defines a person isn't what happened to them, but which part they choose to act on. That choice isn't always obvious. Sometimes it arrives wrapped in doubt, quiet enough to question itself. What feels like distance can resemble guilt. What feels like protections can be mistaken for cruelty. Understanding doesn't come first. It follows, slowly, learn along the way. So, use the step you took as a liminal space to heal. Along the way, questioning will surface. Why did this happen to me? Why did it have to be this way? Everyone carries different lessons throughout their lives. This just happens to be one of yours. There's nothing wrong with that. Some lessons are simply learned the hard way. Just learning it the hard way. Pain isn't here to ruin you. It means something meaningful was touched. Yes, it will affect you. It already has, but it doesn't end there. Healing is still possible. At least in a sudden breakthrough though. Quiet decision to stop fighting the past, and start listening to yourself. Life taught the lesson the expensive way. Sometimes what hurts the most also reshapes us in ways comfort never could. So, no payback, accept what happened without rewriting it, without romanticizing it. Just let the past stay where it belongs. Honestly, there's nothing left to prove. Rock bottom is already low enough. So, having someone who never gives up on you is great, totally great. And the plot twist, it is you. Yeah, it's you. So, distance settles in. That's part of healing. Not as walls, but as a space to let it rest. A first step, a pause long enough to breathe again. It hurts, of course it does, but healing is funny side effect. Clarity. We see the harm more clearly now, and we also see what is in ours to fix. If growth isn't mutual, distance becomes kindness. So, wish them well from a very healthy distance, and focus on building a life aligned with our values. Okay, again, it's hard, but it's worth it. Healing takes time, more than expected, and it asks for reward again and again. The journey is still long, and it's waiting for you to meet the best version of yourself. So keep going,